Today, I have my first ever guest episode ready to go. It has been an incredible day of filming and chatting with some incredible women, sharing their stories, and we have really exciting guest episodes coming your way over the next couple of weeks. So on today's episode, we have the wonderful Rebecca Pilger, and she is a keynote speaker, podcast host, and a rising voice in the realm of spiritual transformation and feminine energetics. She's the founder of the acclaimed Soul Desire podcast, and she's known for her grounded wisdom and electric presence that speaks directly to the hearts of those ready to break free from survival mode and reclaim the soft, creative power of their divine feminine energy. This conversation honestly lit up my soul in so many ways. I immediately felt drawn to Rebecca and hearing her story and her journey and her connection with the feminine-masculine polarity dynamic and shifting from a state of burnout and overwhelm and regulating your nervous system and shifting from survival mode into the safe feminine energy has been a huge part in my own journey. And if you've been a part of my podcast or listened to any of my earlier episodes, you'll know my own journey in that realm of reconnecting to my feminine energy, learning how to just reconnect to myself in that sense and come home to my feminine essence. And that's exactly what Rebecca was all about. And we had so many beautiful moments. We were so in flow. We were so in sync the whole time. And so many things she said resonated with me in so many ways, and I know they're going to resonate with you. And she also gives you some incredible tips on how to start embodying the feminine energy and how to get out of survival mode and how to recognize when you're in survival mode. And there's a few tips in there that I didn't even know that I'm taking away from this experience, and I'm going to go give myself a name, and that'll make sense to you if you listen to the episode. So there's a ton of things that I'm even taking away in my own journey that were really good breakthrough moments, and I know you are going to get a ton of information from this episode and actionable things that you can actually start doing right now when you turn this episode off. So if you are somebody that has been struggling to connect with their feminine energy, or you feel like you're stuck in survival mode, the system is just completely out of whack and you just don't really feel like you're enjoying the little things anymore and you feel disconnected from yourself or in a state of freeze and just kind of numb to everything, this is an incredible episode for you to listen to, and I really think you should hang around because she's awesome, and she actually joined in all the way from Germany today. So it's a really special episode. She is a beautiful, beautiful human, and I am so excited for you guys to hear a little bit about her journey. So with that being said, let's jump into the interview. Welcome to Rise with Katie Marie. Think of this podcast like sitting down with a friend where we talk about healing, self-discovery, and stepping into the highest version of yourself. I'm Katie, your host and friend on this journey. Together, we'll talk about all the messy and beautiful parts of life, from heartbreak to healing, self-doubt to self-love, and everything in between. If you're looking for a cozy space to feel seen, heard, and inspired, you're in the right place. So, grab a cup of coffee, take a deep breath, and let's rise together. We have a very exciting guest joining us today, all the way from Germany. It is 6 p.m. where she is right now, and it's lunchtime over here. So thank you so much for joining us and setting aside the time to be here, Rebecca. We have a very exciting topic to go over with you guys. We're going to be talking all things feminine energy and getting out of survival mode. And we have the perfect guest here today to help us do that. This is Rebecca Pilger. And I guess I'll let you introduce yourself to the people. So fill in our listeners on everything you do, Rebecca.
Thank you so much, Katie. This was so nice. I'm so honored to be here. I really enjoy talking to you and to your listeners. I actually help women. I do help men as well, but usually we women are more affected from survival mode. So I help women shift from survival mode into their divine feminine energy. I myself was, for the majority of my life, stuck in survival mode. And I struggled so hard to actually do the jump from survival mode into the divine feminine energy. Even though the divine feminine energy is, for most of us, our natural state of being. And survival mode is just an override. It's just layered on top. But still, when you're really stuck in survival mode for so long, it feels like your natural energy. And everything a part of this feels so foreign, so scary. And it's really a tough journey to shift. And once you know how, it's actually not that bad anymore. It's easier and you can do the shift right away. And so I needed a long time to figure this out, to finally step into my divine feminine energy. And now I help others do this.
Amazing. And if anybody's listened to my show before, you'll know I'm big on this topic. I talk about it all the time. I've also been on my own journey of switching out of survival mode and learning how to tap into the feminine. So I am very excited to dive into this with you today, as I can relate fully. And I'm excited for anybody listening today that may be stuck in survival mode and they don't know that they're in survival mode. And maybe they take away something from our conversation today to help them shift into that divine feminine energy. So thank you for being here. And tell me a little bit more about your journey and how you got here and what enticed you to start offering these services to women, and what led you here.
My journey was really, really long. I got through this. I was in survival mode for probably the better of 32 to 33 years. So it was a non-stop survival mode journey. And it was like everybody who has ever been in survival mode. It's an on and off. It's on and off. And you start feeling this fluent shift from survival mode to feminine energy. But for me, the shift, the moments I wasn't in survival mode, they got shorter and shorter until to the point where I really couldn't recognize the divine feminine energy anymore. It was like this was my mentality, the hustle, the push, the pushing myself over, actually feeling good. Burnout. I've been through burnout to people pleasing, which started really early on from childhood on. And most people really don't know that people pleasing is actually a survival mode. It's a cover up. It's a mechanism you use to feel safe. Burnout is the same thing. You don't see your own worth. You don't value yourself and you don't feel your own place. Your worth is so connected to doing, to hustling, that you overextend and you stretch yourself so far that you just burn out really quickly. And I had a lot of these episodes of burnout, but I would say my high was after my childhood people pleasing and really not being myself, because I learned early on to shift into a different identity, to become someone people expected me to be. And this is also a survival mode mechanism because you stay safe this way. After that, I got into toxic relationships because this was basically, it was the path I was on. It was so easy to slip into this and from one toxic partner to the next one. So I endured a lot of emotional abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, and it shifted. A couple of years ago, 3 years ago, actually, my life burned down. It really did. And when people say like, well, my life burned down, it's a sugar-coated version. And I tried to give you the sugar-coated version. It was really, I woke up and I recognized that my partner was cheating for probably 10 years. We've been together for 12. So I knew this, but I tried to make it fit. I tried to make it still happen. But I knew he didn't let go of this. It was a narcissistic behavior. He's a narcissist. So I recognized that he took the business I built and just emptied it out. He destroyed the business overnight, basically. He took my bank account. He took my apartment. I was in the middle of Greece. Right now, at that moment, I lived there with him and I had no friends, really almost no family, because he made sure that I was cut off from everybody. So I had nothing. And he made debt in my name, a lot of debt. So it was basically, I had to start from nothing. And this kicked my survival mode even further, because then I was in this situation where I was financially destroyed. And I had this pressure to survive. I had no one to go to. At least this was how it felt at that moment. And I had nothing. I really had nothing. Everything I was building at this time, it was all gone. Everything. I lost everything. And so at that moment, it felt so devastating. But it was actually the greatest gift for me, because I know it sounds ridiculous when I say it like this, but it's really, I got a second chance to start over. I got the second chance to recognize that life wasn't right the way I lived it, and that this wasn't how I was supposed to live. So I thought it was something which had to do with me. I thought it was my people-pleasing mentality and my low self-love and self-worth, which basically happens when you're for so long in a survival mode. So I started building self-love and going on this journey, and I got really deep into spirituality, which was my anchor basically. And one day I started my business again, a different business. I started this business basically totally different than everything I did before. I did a lot of things. I worked before in the movie industry in LA. So I decided to start over, and I got into the next issue, because this is what most people don't know. Survival mode, you think you understood the pattern and now you broke through. But it's not a one-time thing. It's not oh, it's connected to love, or oh, it's connected to my personal life. No. It's through and through your entire life. It's just spreading, and it takes all parts. And this is just because you're able to shift in your personal life into your divine feminine essence doesn't mean that it's not popping up somewhere else, and then it starts to be contagious. It's taking over again. So I started this business, and this was actually my second lesson, because I copied and pasted everything I learned from the other businesses, which I actually had when I was in survival mode. And I did those in survival mode with the same tools. So obviously they didn't work. And this is when burnout hit and depression hit. And it hit really, really hard. And it hit me 3 times within a year and a half, to the point that I was thinking, okay, I can't. And it was for me really a break it or make it moment. And I realized, okay, this was another lesson. You can't take anything from your old life. You have to start new. You have to be new. And this is when I actually recognized that I needed to become the empress within, when I needed to become the version of myself. And when I say empress, it's the ultimate divine feminine figure. If you know a little bit about tarot, it's the empress is the card for self-love. It's the card for divine blessings, abundancy, divine feminine flow and essence. So you need to really uncover and become your divine feminine essence, your inner empress. And when I recognized this, I started building myself up, and I left everything behind. I shed all the old patterns, all the limiting beliefs, everything which didn't serve me for my new life, my new version. And when I actually did this step, everything happened for me. Everything began to flow, and I stopped forcing, pushing, struggling, hustling, because it happened.
Wow. Wow. First of all, I just want to say that I am so sorry that you had to endure all that and go through all of that. And, I can imagine how hard it would have been to have your entire life just kind of ripped up from you, and finding the person that you love and, catching them doing that. And then not only that aspect, but having to rebuild yourself from the ground up too. Like that takes a strong woman, and it says a lot about your character as well, and how you were able to kind of like the phoenix, like rise from the ashes and rebuild into something beautiful and amazing and incredible. So I just want to honor that and say that I'm very proud of you for, going on that journey and coming out on the other side.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I definitely relate to so much of that. And the part that stuck out to me when you said you're thankful that it happened now. And I've, had a similar situation. I won't go too into it, but same thing, I've had quite a few heartbreaks, quite a few things, COVID, pandemic, turned my life around completely. And in the moment, it feels so intense, right? And it feels so like, how am I going to get out of this? Like, how my life is over. Like, there's no end to this. Like, what do I have to live for, And hindsight, when you finally look back on it and you realize like everything needed to happen the way that it did to meet this version of yourself, you're so grateful. And to anybody out there right now who is in that season where you're in the thick of it and you're in the depths of it and you're wondering, can I get out of this? Is it ever going to end? Is life ever going to get better? Literally, it will. We promise you it will. And you're going to have that moment where you look back, just like Rebecca just said, and you're going to be so grateful that everything happened the way that it did, because it will teleport you into that deep spiritual journey. And I do all my tarot readings. I know all about the Empress. I love her. And same thing, it really teleported guided me into meeting myself at that depth. And sometimes it takes a really shitty situation to bring that out in somebody. So I love that that was the journey and that's how it led you here. And now you're doing amazing things and you're helping other women and by telling your story. And yeah, I'm just, in awe of you. So thank you for sharing that too. And I think my next question after that would be for someone listening to this right now where they don't really understand what it means when you say survival mode. Maybe let's dive into that a little bit. So kind of paint us a picture. If somebody's living in survival mode, what would that look like for them?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, I think survival mode it can have a lot of different colors and shades. So just because I say you are probably like this doesn't mean that survival mode doesn't show up in a different way for you. So I feel like there are 4 categories, 4 pillars we put survival mode in. It's usually fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. So you have these 4, and we've all been in this situation. I always say survival mode, people say it's the worst and it's so bad, but it's not actually. It's a huge love message from your soul trying to protect you, because you usually shift in your survival mode when you're in a situation where your soul knows it's too much for you. I need to protect you right now and I need to make sure you're safe. So I shift you in survival mode so you're just functioning. So survival mode is basically when you're at a freeze level, I'd say, because you're not experiencing really lows, but you're not experiencing really highs either. You're just stagnant. You're just surviving and you're at bare minimum, which might feel like when you're in fight, you're really moody. You're agitated about everything. Somebody says something and you feel like you need to protect yourself. Your inner warrior picks up and you're just protecting. This doesn't mean that you're in your survival mode when you're in the second quarter of your period, because this is what happened then too. We're kind of agitated and a little moody, and this is not the same. I'm not talking about this. It's about when you're in this deep depression, when you're in this deep feeling of life is against you and you have to fight all the time. There's a reason why we have the fight mechanism, because it's protecting us. When there is someone running behind you at night and this person is really scary, it's awesome to be in your survival mode, so keep running. Other than this, you don't need to run. You don't need to protect yourself. You don't have to fight and try to protect yourself because it's not necessary. Which is good when somebody is maybe taking something from you, maybe trying to take your purse, but don't do this in real life. Just because your spouse asks you something, you don't need to protect yourself. The flight is what I said before, you run off. Because obviously when there's a tiger behind you, you don't want to stand still and fight this tiger. You will lose. So this is a situation you want to be in your survival mode. While when you have this situation, and no, we all had those, when we were in a fight with our spouse or co-workers, family, and we just take our purse and take off because it's too much, because we don't want this, and we just run off all situations which are just coming our way. We feel overwhelmed and we just take off. This is your flight moment. And this is not necessarily good because you're pushing off situations you should probably handle. It's like avoiding your bills and you just push them to the side and ignore them. This is a flight situation. And this is what happens when you're in survival mode, because your bills, they make you crumble. You feel like they just suffocate you. And so you just push them aside. The freeze mechanism is when you freeze. There's a good situation. When there's a bear, people say freeze. You should freeze. But it's when you're in your life and you're in your survival mode and you just freeze. It's like you're just there, but you not recognize anything. You're numb. And people have this when they just go to work and they just live their life and they're just numb. They don't feel anything. They just numb out everything, freeze everything out. And this is the situation. I would say dissociation in there as well. Dissociation is when you just feel like you're not living your life. You're somewhere else. You can move your cautiousness somewhere else. And yeah, these are the pillars which are really, and then there's the last one, the fawn, which is basically people pleasing. It You just agree and you do everything to keep the peace. And I'd say, in my experience, most kids learn this. It's a survival mechanism kids learn, and it's something you early on recognize keeps you alive. It's rarely something you do when you're grown up, because it's a mechanism. When you are a grown up and you use this mechanism, you picked it up as a child. You realize, when I just do what mom and dad want, when I learn to read the room, I'm safe. People love me. And it's an exchange. You believe, you do everything, and you get love. But unfortunately, it's not that way. And as a child, you don't know that love is not supposed to be earned. You think this, but this is actually imprinting something on you which is so false, and it's like a red thread moving through your entire life for the rest of your life. So if you just listened and you recognize any of this, then chances are you are in survival mode. And you can ask yourself a couple of questions. For example, do I feel like I need to protect myself in this situation? Do I feel like I just want to run off? Do I feel like everything is just falling apart and I don't want to live this life and I just wish I would end this life where I can start over? Or do you feel like you don't know what your needs are? What do you want? What do you desire? Because this is something you don't know when you're pleasing. It's something, you know what everybody else wants, but you don't know what you want. You forgot. And these are questions you should ask yourself when you have the slightest feeling. It's like, I would say burnout is the freeze mechanism. You hustle, you hustle, you hustle, and you feel like, okay, I just keep going and I don't feel how I feel and I dissociate from my feelings, and then you burn out.
When you say the part about freeze, that's what I was stuck in, and I was very burnt out. And yeah, you kind of just feel like nothing brings excitement like it normally would, and you're going through the motions, you're on autopilot, and you're doing things, but you're not mentally there. And I was stuck in that for a very long time, and that was my biggest struggle. Getting out of survival mode was just learning to feel things again, you know, and learning to be okay with the slow periods and not have to, you know, prove my worth through productivity. That's a big thing. People pleasing, a recovering people pleaser here as well. I find a lot of us get stuck in that people pleaser mentality, and like you said, it's from childhood, right? And it's like, it's something that's engraved in you for so long, and it's so hard to reverse unless you can actively see when it's happening and be like, okay, I need to do something about this. So for somebody that is listening to this right now and they're like, okay, you know what? I am in survival mode. Like, that resonated with me. What would the first couple steps be here to transition into tapping into that feminine? And we'll get into the feminine after, but what would be their first step if they're like, okay, I think I need to do something here?
First of all, you can be so proud of you, and you're a living, breathing example here for everybody who's listening that it's actually possible. You can shift. You can make it happen, and you can be really proud of you. I feel like you can do this over through a couple of things. And I always like to say, I just give you tools. There are so many tools out there. You can pick whatever suits you. It doesn't matter. It's not like, oh, I need to keep in this area because this is how it's supposed. No. I always say, like, love, you can take whatever resonates, mix and match it. Nobody cares. It's your own kind of style. You put everything like in a little toolbox and you create it for yourself. And this is the beautiful part, because you make it your own. You put your own stamp on. So I feel like there are a lot of things you can do. You can either say, like, I work with my body, because your body knows what your subconscious doesn't want to acknowledge. Your body already knows. So if you feel like on the verge of, maybe I'm in survival mode, this is maybe another indicator. Your body, how you carry your body. Maybe you have pain in your body, physically pain, because this is where the trauma is held. It's maybe your back is hurting. Maybe your throat is so itchy and your voice is always breaking and you have like sore throat all the time. So this is an indicator. You're just keeping your voice to yourself. You're not speaking your truth. And this is also survival mechanism. So I say breath work is a beautiful way to release a lot of tension in your body. Basically, your vagus nerve is in your back. And it's when you have a hypervigilant nervous system, your vagus nerve is really tense. And you need to make sure that it feels safe, that it releases the trauma within. So the way you can do this is just do some stretches. Yoga is a beautiful way, or just start moving the way your body asks for. And this is a really tough question for somebody, or a really tough exercise for somebody who's into people pleasing, because like I said before, you forgot what you want. So it's a double beneficial exercise, actually. You just feel, and it shouldn't be a choreography or something you perform for others. It's for yourself. So if it looks awkward, don't worry. It's fine. And audibly exhale, because this is what your vagus nerve loves. While you exhale, you release. So obviously I'm really spiritually connected, and I created my own version, because I basically went through all the tools and I picked and selected what works for me, and then I started to make it my own. So I integrated in each survival mode release a divine feminine essence. What I love to do is I move the way that I circle my hips into an 8, because this is actually activating the feminine energy, where you really start to awaken her. For somebody who was sexually abused in the past, it's a tough situation, because you basically shut off your second chakra and you cut off your womb and all your feminine essence. So it might be that you're a little hesitant, and just start slow. I always like to say for people who have trouble doing this, sit on the floor where you're comfortable. And when you breathe in to your legs, move to your legs and really slowly breathe and push your back through. And then go to the side and flow to the back and exhale to the back. And you can do this audibly, because then you have the movement from the divine feminine. And the more your vagus nerve releases, you become really comfortable in the movement and you start really shifting into the energy. This is a beautiful exercise, but obviously I know we don't have this much time. So for each exercise, I always do a little quick exercise you can do everywhere, because I feel like it's something is distracting your day. You're probably not doing this because you're still in your survival mode. It's like hustle, hustle, hustle. So you need the small moments in the beginning. And it doesn't matter if it's 2 minutes in the morning and then 2 minutes in lunch or time. It doesn't matter. Try to add on, and you get really better in this, and your nervous system is retraining, because basically your soul thinks you're in survival. You need to survive. You're not safe to settle down. You're not safe to take a breath and just be. So you have to make sure she knows you're safe. She can release and surrender. So what I love to do is in the morning when you wake up, place your left hand on your heart and your right hand on your womb. Just take a couple of really deep connected breaths and ask yourself, what do I need today? And the easiest way to integrate some self-love in there as well, because obviously if you don't have self-love, there's no reason to shift out of survival because you don't love yourself. So where's the point? To add some self-love in there. Give yourself a loving name. You can tell your soul, or you can give your soul the name sweetheart or love, or even pick a name which really resonates for you, because this is like you're talking to someone else. And it's like a little bridge for the beginning, because you don't feel worthy, but you would never treat somebody else the way you treat yourself. And this is the bridge you're building, basically. It worked for me really well. And this is how I learned to really love myself. And when I was to the point where I was really connecting, I could merge the two. So place your hands on your heart, on your womb, and ask yourself, sweetheart or love, or whatever you want to call her, how do you feel? What do you need today? And really listen, because the divine feminine is intuition, manifestation, and creation. So you activate this. And the hand on the heart is the feminine, while the right hand on your womb is the masculine energy. You need both. because otherwise you are just manifesting, but you're not taking action. So you need to integrate both. This is a beautiful exercise you can do. So later on, you prepare your food and really listen to your body, what she wants to eat. What does your divine feminine wants to eat? And your survival mode. Take your time to pick something and make something to eat. Don't just grab fast food. Don't just do something quick, and don't skip food because you're thinking, I don't have time for this. Really take the time and listen to your inner self. Usually the divine feminine is really connected to sweet potatoes and all this groundy food. It's because Gaia, Mother Earth, is divine feminine, so you might be drawn to sweet potatoes and the root foods, or dark chocolate, berries. It's the leafy greens like spinach or so. Those are foods you might be drawn to. But listen to your inner self. Then I love to do this. I know we are busy, so sometimes we're just hustling to our car. We don't get the time to put some nature walks in or so, because you're in this, I have to go to work, I have to do this, I have to do that. So the moments you run to your car, just go a little slower, really feel nature. It doesn't matter if it's icy, windy outside, or if it's the sun, which you feel on your skin. All of this is an impression. You start feeling, you start shifting out of this numbing, because you finally focus on how you feel and what you feel. And this gives you a moment to reconnect to yourself. And again, tell your soul, you're safe. You're safe to feel. You're safe to surrender. Really get into conversation with your soul. Talk to her. And yes, I know people think you're awkward, but you can pretend to be on the phone, or it doesn't matter. People don't really. This is the thing. We always think people think too much about us. Nobody really cares. So you can be as crazy as you want to. Nobody will actually recognize. And those moments are really moments you connect to yourself. And at night, maybe start doing a ritual. Tea is something which calms your nervous system because it's something hot. Hot fluids your nervous system loves. It's giving you this feeling of warm and cozy, and probably it's connected to the womb because it's warm and you feel safe. So you give yourself this. Take a blanket, get your warm tea, or maybe a hot chocolate, because the dark chocolate is connected to the divine feminine, and some like teas like rose tea, it's connected to the divine feminine. So you can blend or mix, listen to how you feel in this moment. And don't just do this while watching TV. Really connect to yourself. Really listen to how you feel in this moment, how your soul feels, what you want, and slowly sip your drink. And when I do this, I imagine the fluid. I'm telling myself, may it wash away all the old limiting beliefs, the survival patterns I no longer need. And you can envision it like golden fluid, and it's going through your entire body and it's renewing you. And if you like this, you can plant your feet on the floor, because then you get the connection to Gaia. And imagine growing roots into earth and just giving her everything you don't need anymore. She can alchemize it, and she will give you divine love. So it's an exchange, and you feel whole again. And really be good to yourself. This is the way I would say start slowly. Obviously, there are so many other things, and this is just a little snippet, but it's where you can get started, how you can get started. And this is something you can squeeze everywhere in your busiest days. And one more thing, it's probably where you struggled the most with. I struggled a lot with, and a lot of people who are in survival mode struggle with, and it's rest. It's this, I can't rest because if I rest now, I miss out. I fall behind. I'm not worthy of resting because I haven't done anything today. And then there starts the spiral. So really set a timer 5 minutes after lunch and just lay down and rest, and start reprogramming your mind. When you say to yourself, I take this moment to rest because rest is not laziness. Rest is exhilaration. While you rest, not only does your DNA start to upgrade and you start to fuel your body again and you get some more energy for the rest of the day, but you also get to the point where you can let go of the survival for a moment. And then all the creation comes in. Your intuition, everything floods in, and all of a sudden you wake up and you realize, oh, I could do this, or this is a beautiful idea. The best ideas you get when you're really in your divine flow. So it's actually an exhilaration. It's not a slow down, laziness. Use this moment to fuel yourself to be even better later on.
Wow. I'm following along that whole thing. I'm taking points. I'm like relating to things. I'm like, girl, you were nailing it. We were like one after another. That was powerful. Thank you for sharing all of that. So many things I want to touch on here. I think when you said the part about being in survival mode isn't a bad thing. It truly isn't. Like, that's your systems kicking in and being like, I'm protecting us, right? When you try to reframe that into thinking like it's not the worst thing to be in that energy, then you can approach it from that soft kind of standpoint too. Going into the whole feminine thing, oh my goodness, like you said, the thing right at the end about resting, that was a big thing for me. And also mindfulness, when you said the part about the tea, I actually had my first therapist taught me that. I mentioned it on another podcast episode too. And little tiny acts of services that you can do for yourself. Well, I'm having my coffee in the morning. I try to like, I'll smell it and I'll, swirl it around in the cup. And I'm like, hey, how does it feel? How does the mug feel? And then when you drink it, like you actually feel it going in. And like those days that I take those couple little moments, just doing what I normally do every day, drinking my coffee, but being more mindful about it, that immediately that's the switch over. And one thing that I also had to teach myself as well was rest is productive. And when you said the part about, feeling guilty for resting or that I haven't done enough today and I need to do this before I can rest, when you start to reframe that and say, no, rest is being very productive. That's exactly it. That's when I get my best podcast episodes recorded. That's when I get my best work done. That's when I create a business idea, because you're in that flow state. And it's so hard to get there when it doesn't come natural to you. And it's a work in progress. And I think that's one thing that I want to mention to anybody listening to every point that she just mentioned. It's not an overnight fix. It's a very long process, and to get used to it and to build these habits. And I'm still trying to get there myself. Even when you said the part about go, go, go and not taking time for nature, I don't get out enough. So that's something I'm working on too. And yeah, little tiny shifts, and the more you do them, the more you'll turn into that version, and the more they will become natural, and they'll feel like more of your routine instead of forcing yourself into it. And then the other thing I want to touch on that blew my mind, and I'm going to literally go make up a name after this, is the naming yourself something. That's incredible, because I'm a boudoir photographer, so I do photo shoots with my clients as well. And, I tell them all the time, I'm like, look at your photos as if you were looking at your friend, right? Like, you wouldn't tell your friend she's fat and ugly and like this, and you're not going to tell that to somebody, right? So talk to yourself like you would talk to a friend. But I've never thought of actually naming yourself before, and that is such a cool thing that you can do. And anybody listening to this, that's a huge takeaway. Give yourself a name, call yourself something, because then it feels like you're detaching from that person, right? And that blew my mind when you said that. I'm just like, that is such an easy shift that I've never even thought to do, and I'm going to start incorporating that into my own life, because that was a really cool moment. So thank you for sharing that, and I'm sure everybody listening is also very thankful for sharing that as well.
Oh, thank you so much. I feel like you said something right now which I really love, and I really need to acknowledge this, because you said I'm still doing the daily shifts. I need to work on this. And this is something, me too. It's what people think is, oh, I shift out of survival mode and I'm off there forever. No, it sounds harsh, but you're basically a recovered addict. Me too, because your nervous system is so familiar with this. So you always try to shift into what feels familiar. Familiar doesn't need to be healthy. It's when you have a really toxic karmic family. They're familiar, but they're not healthy for you. We have those friends where we grew up with them, but they're not good for you. But still, when you meet them, it feels familiar and you want to connect again. This is the same thing. So it's a constant keeping on track with your rituals, with your routines. And this is the beautiful thing. So I feel like always make it as easy as you can on yourself. Do them in between. Listen to yourself. Feel. And first of all, this is the most important thing, I feel like. Learn to recognize when you need these moments. Because when you're in survival, you don't know. But the more you get out of this, the more you learn the moments and you recognize how it should feel and you recognize the slightest shifts. And then you can go right there. There's no judgment there because your nervous system doesn't know. But your nervous system needs to learn that it's okay. Thank you for protecting me. Thank you for loving me. But we shift back because here we feel better. We choose healthy over familiarity. And this is a constant thing. And you said something about the coffee you really celebrate. And here's the last thing I want to share with the women before we go to the next. It's pick a piece of chocolate. If you really like chocolate, dark chocolate is perfect for the divine feminine because she loves this, but you can take any chocolate. And this is actually a tantra exercise, and I really love this. Smell on it and way to really embrace the moment. Let your body start to react on it. You feel your mouth water. You feel your on its own is really intoxicating. It's so delicious. And then tease yourself. Really celebrate this moment. You may lick on this chocolate and just really embrace the moment. Because the divine feminine loves to embrace the simple moments. And this is just one of the simplest. And when you feel like you really embody this and you really prepared yourself for this piece of chocolate, then get it and really celebrate it. Because we get those moments where when we're in survival mode, we have these beautiful moments in between. But we don't see them because we are always hushing through those. When you teach your nervous system to celebrate those small moments, you might fall back into survival, but your nervous system right away, oh, this is a moment we should celebrate. We celebrate the sun right now because it's out there. So we stand there and just close our eyes and feel it on our skin and feel the wind dancing through our hair because we celebrate those. And the more you learn this, the more life starts being worth living again. And you shift out of this depression, out of the hustle, out of this numbness.
That's so true. And I had to learn how to do that as well. I was constantly chasing the next goal, never appreciating where I was in the journey. And it's like, I've accomplished all these things, but that's not good enough. I got to go to the next one and go to the next one. And I find even if you're not a businesswoman, even if it's just day to day, you're constantly chasing that next high instead of sitting where you are, being appreciative of where you are in your journey and just saying thank you, like I'm grateful for where I am in the feminine. It's all about receiving, right? And that does not come natural if you live in your masculine because you're so used to being that planner and you're so used to being the person that's like, nope, we got to go harder, we got to go higher, we got to do more instead of just sitting and being present. And I love the chocolate reference as well. It's something simple that anybody can do. We all love our chocolate. Most of us love our chocolate out there. So you can start doing that today, something quick and easy from home, or like you said, the tea or the coffee. Just start really appreciating that moment. Take that moment, and before you even take a sip, like prepare yourself and then say, oh my gosh, like I'm so grateful to have this coffee in the morning. And the days that I do that, I'm in such a good energy, and the days that I don't, oh my goodness, we are all over the place. And it's so simple once you learn how to do it. It's just, I find the hard part is sticking with it and actually making it part of your routine, especially when it doesn't come natural. So I love that, and I love that you gave them tangible things that they can take away from this episode too and start implementing into daily life. And I love that. I love that so much.
I think you just mentioned something which keeps you on track. It's you recognize the difference. It's really like this. When you do this, you feel so much better in your skin. You feel the day is so much better. And it's like workout. Nobody really loves this, but you feel so much better. It's the same thing. At first, it feels annoying, but when you keep doing it long enough, it's going to be part of your life and you can't go without. You start missing it. You feel like, wow, I couldn't meditate today. Now I'm grumpy. I want this moment, and you make space for it. And on the sudden, you override your survival mode for the thing you really need.
Oh my goodness. And I do that in the morning. My big thing is journaling. That's my special time in the morning. I do my little card pull. I know you're a little spiritual like me, so I do my card pull, sometimes a tarot reading. And I have that minute actually while I'm drinking my coffee as well. And that's my time. I look forward to it every morning because I know how I'm going to feel if I do that in the morning. And do I want to sit there and do it sometimes? No. I want to get my day going and start doing things and get out of the house. But I know when I set aside that time to do it, it's going to set me up for such a good day. And it's going to make me feel so present in that moment. And finding what works for you, journaling works for me, but maybe for somebody else that's going for a walk in the morning.
Yeah.
Taking a long hot shower, washing your hair, feeling good, feeling ready to start the day, whatever that thing is for you, figure out what works for you. And then yes, being able to recognize when the difference in your mood and your energy when you're not doing those things, and you'll realize how important they actually are to you. Before, when I started this journey, I remember hearing so many people say like, oh yeah, just, work out, journal, eat healthy. And it's like, okay, but like, how does that work? Like, sure, like you're just, and you start to think it's cliche, right? But when you actually start doing it and you have those routines in place, you realize how crucial they are in your life. And when you don't do them, how thrown off you are. And one thing that popped into my mind as we were talking too, and I don't know if you had this experience when you were learning to shift into the feminine, but I lived so in my logical brain that it was almost impossible for me at first to connect to my body. I'm still learning. My therapist, she laughs at me all the time because she's just like, you like really have a hard time getting out of your logical. Even when she's like, what are you feeling in your body right now? I'm like, okay, and I'm like logically trying to think about it. She's like, Katie, don't think about it. Just what do you feel? And I'm like, but I got to think about how I'm feeling. She's like, no, like you're so in your logical that you're not turning that off. And one thing that helped me, I actually visualize myself and I'll put her on a beach. Like I have my little happy place that I visualize and it's a beach with sunset. And I put her on a chair and I say, go sit there, like my logical brain. And I'm like, go sit. You're okay. Thank you for helping. Thank you for kicking in because that's survival mode, right? That's my logical popping in and being like, oh my goodness, like this is our threat. We need to know what the body's feeling. She asked us a question. We got to answer. And it's like, no, go hang out on the beach and relax. And then trying to connect into your body. And I just started doing Reiki actually, which has been a huge, huge help for that. That's really helped me tap into that as well. But again, that was so foreign for me, for somebody who lives so much in the logical. So for anybody listening to this episode and you try to do these things and you're just not feeling connected, don't give up because it's a hard thing to learn when you're so programmed a certain way. And especially as an overthinker and, someone who is on the go 24/7, it's really hard to turn that off. But once you do, promise you, you've heard Rebecca's journey, you've heard my journey, that you will get to that place of such contentment. And so many beautiful things stem from women embodying their feminine energy and being able to live in that feminine and know how to turn on the masculine when you need to, because the masculine's not a bad thing, right? Like it's a beautiful thing. And when, I'm putting together these podcast episodes, I'm in my masculine, I'm planning, I'm doing all the things. But then right now I've shifted into the feminine to listen to your story and to hear what you're saying. And I've been receiving the messages and that initial shift from, okay, I got to make sure we're up and running. And then it's learning how to tap back into that flow state and that feminine energy. And it'll change your life. It truly will change your life when you master that.
Yes, it does. There are two things I want to say to this. So first of all, if you are disconnected to your masculine within, because you have both energies, obviously. So if you reject the masculine energy, you reject men in general. It's something which is rooted from parents, probably your father. There's a disconnect. It doesn't mean your dad was a bad person, but a long time ago, there was a disconnect. So now you don't trust the masculine energy anymore. And you need to reprogram your thinking. You need to reconnect both energies because they need to go hand in hand. If you're only in your feminine, you are sitting there and manifesting and creating, then the opportunities come in, but you don't know what to do with this because you need the masculine energy within. So there's really, for me, I had a huge distrust to men. It went because all the negative things were connected to men. It went so far that I was in line and there were men behind me in line and they were really nice, but I felt really uncomfortable and I started to shrink and I dimmed my energy and I felt like I get just invisible, so nobody's seeing me, so I'm safe. This is what happens when you have a disconnect in your divine masculine and feminine energy, and then there's a wound which needs healing. So this part, and for you, I'm not sure if maybe there is something you can do, because I don't know if this goes too far, but it feels like when you're always in your mind, maybe your mind learned or have this thought that your body isn't safe. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's really do the same, place your hand on your heart and your body and tell yourself, sweetheart, love, whatever you want to call her. Mm-hmm. it's safe to feel, it's safe to be here. This is our home.
Mm-hmm.
And really talk to her, tell her that she's safe. Maybe this helps you to shift on the beach later on quicker. Because
Big
the
time.
beach exercise is amazing. It's a beautiful way you calm your nervous system in a place where you feel safe.
Mm-hmm. It's so true. And that's exactly how I've lived. I've had a lot of relationships that, you catch them doing things and it breaks the trust. And it taught my nervous system and my hardwiring that when I am being myself and I am in my feminine and I'm giving my heart to somebody, that it's not safe to do so. And, that's when my brain kicks in and it's like, nope, we have to look for the threats and scan for the threats, and then we can run away before we even put ourselves in the position of the threat. But then you're preventing yourself from meeting amazing people because you're so blocked, and you're not allowing them to come in because you have that defense mechanism instead of pouring the love into yourself and knowing that, okay, I'm going to open up my heart. I'm going to trust you. If you hurt me, it's possible I'm going to pick myself back up and I'll be okay. I try to detach from the outcomes and just know that whatever happens, I'm going to be okay in the end. And that's allowed me to reopen up my heart as well. And a lot of that has been connecting with the body. I started doing some yoga. Also, just being able to do like meditations have been a big thing for me as well. And I'll actually sit there and I try to pick up on little things that are coming up and little things that I feel in the moment. And, it drifts me to these places where I've had such breakthroughs in my journey. And I've seen things and realized things about myself in that meditative state. But if I didn't get comfortable in my body, I would never be able to get into that meditative state. So yes, learning how to, and I love the hand placement thing that you mentioned as well, because that's something, again, so simple that anybody listening to this can start today and just have your hands there, and just get used to the familiarity of like neck down. It's like stop living up here and try to live in your actual body and how you feel. And when you approach people or situations, instead of overanalyzing, you learn that if you're unsafe, you'll feel it in your body. It's not a mental thing. It's like, no, I'll actually feel the anxiety. Like I'll feel it instead of making it up to be this thing in my head that it's not actually. So yeah.
For me, what helped me was that I recognized I don't need to protect myself anymore because I'm right now in my Empress. And the Empress is doing it because she is knowing intuitively, and which is something which most people probably don't know. But when your inside world is a reflection to your outside world. So when you are really in harmony, peace, and love from the inside, the outside is reflecting this. So it's basically you have protected yourself by loving yourself. You repel the people who don't. You repel the people who are not worthy of your time, your love, and your energy. So you basically are divinely protected. And then you don't need your protective energy anymore, your survival mode to keep you safe. Your logical mind doesn't have to outsmart everything because you know that you know that you know deep within you that you're safe. Because you would never betray yourself. So people who would betray you, they are not even getting to you. You will never let them close. You have healthy boundaries. You have self-love, and you know your intuition, your divine feminine has such an intuitive knowing that she will see this threat right away. And you will be repelled by this person because this is no person of interest for you anymore.
Big time. And I always say, either rise and meet me where I'm at or remove yourself from my life. And they will. The universe will remove them from your life, whether you want them to be or not. Somebody can't meet you unless they've met themselves at that depth already. And if they're not deep in their own healing journey, or they're not, aware of certain things, then you're going to notice the red flags instantly, and you're going to notice the things that are not aligned. And it's not that they're a bad person. It's just they're not at the level that you're at right now of
yes.
Mentally, spiritually, physically, wherever. And it's so true when you say, like, you'll know right away who's meant for you and who's not. And I don't know about you, but the deeper I went on my healing journey and my spirituality and, tapping into the feminine, I would look at connections that I had in the past or people that I would gravitate to in the past. And, maybe they popped back into my life or they messaged me or, someone that I used to, be very attracted to mentally. And now it's like, Like it's a whole shift that happens, and it's like you realize what I was attracting or what attracted me to them in the first place. And it was my own unhealed wounds that I was looking for validation through them, or I was looking to heal that part of myself through them instead of doing that on my own. And then when you start healing that side of yourself, you learn exactly what to look for and what not to look for. And you get comfortable with being alone until you find the right one that can match you in that energy. And that's the beautiful thing. You know, you go into dates and it's like, okay, like I'm going to be myself. And if you like it, great. And if not, it's not meant to be. You don't put that pressure on the outcome. You don't put that pressure on, does he like me? Am I okay? Does my hair look okay? Like you don't get into that because you trust yourself so fully. And that is my mission for women. And that's why I started doing these podcasts. And that's why I do boudoir photography, because I want everybody to be able to get to that point in their life where they feel so confident in themselves that nothing or nobody can faze them, and they trust themselves and their judgment at the end.
Yeah, this is so well said. It's true. It's you love yourself inside out. You love how you look. And we've all been there to those dates, or we met somebody and we feel like awkward. Should I say this? Oh, maybe I shouldn't. Or do I look good? I look fat here, or I just cross my arms and I keep like this, these moments. And you don't have them because you know you're perfect. You know that you are the way you should be. And getting a little technical here, but when you're in your divine feminine energy and you're deeply connected, you're on a higher frequency. So I believe there are people on each frequency for us we are supposed to meet. And there also soulmates on each frequency. People think soulmates is always like the love of your life. No, there are soulmates who are karmic soulmates who are supposed to teach you something. And so depending on which frequency, or when you're in a lower frequency, usually your soulmates are there to teach you something. While when you're on a higher frequency, the soulmate is supposed to be the love of your life. But when you're on a higher frequency, automatically the people who are on lower frequency, they bypass you. While when they're on the same frequency as you, they will meet you. So your frequency is depending on the healing you did, on the natural energy, how deeply celebrated you are, how deeply embracing you this energy. It's about how grateful you are, how much you love yourself. These are all the higher frequencies. So if you meet somebody on the same frequency, chances are this person is as healed as you are, as intuitive as you are, as open as you are. You have the same thing. And this person loves him or herself as much as you love yourself. So when both people love each other, or themselves, they love each other even more because it's coming in a union. And then you have, again, the energies. So I feel like this is something which is super technical, but it's understandable. So if you're in your frequency, automatically you're in a high frequency. All the negative energies are down there. They can't mess with you anymore. And this is what you felt with the friends. I did too. And most of us feel this in family relationships. You feel like you used to feel really comfortable in your family, and then you started healing. And then you realize, I repel those people more, and I feel really uncomfortable, and I don't want to be connected with them. And this is a hard time. It's a hard lesson. It's a hard lesson to recognize when your husband or spouse doesn't work anymore because you are in different healing journeys. You change in a different way. But I always believe you should never dim yourself or make yourself feel less only to make somebody else comfortable. This is not why you came here. This is not your purpose. There's a reason why you started to awaken. There's a reason why you started healing. And if you start changing and really sabotaging this, the journey is only taking longer to get there where you're supposed to be. It's going to be painful, because then you will recognize this every time you look at the face of your spouse, every time you look at the people who you feel are not matching you anymore. So I don't say you have to get rid of all those people. You have to be in your hermit mode by yourself, but set healthy boundaries. Recognize that some people are maybe not meant for you right now in this journey, but maybe in a couple of months when you're at a different point, when you feel more secure and safe in where you are, then maybe they recognize they have to treat you differently because they're holding onto your old identity while you moved on. And this is really hard. So on the other hand, I feel like when you decide to remove yourself love from everyone and just get to yourself and be in your little hermit mode. That's amazing because you start to focus on yourself. You really concentrate on only yourself and you accelerate your journey and you start really only attracting the people you want in your life. And this makes it so much easier for you.
Oh my gosh. And people are meant to be mirrors, right? Where you are in your journey and they're mirroring something in you, and you can either see it as a learning experience and take something from that, and maybe they are meant to be here in that season of your life to help you teleport to the next version of yourself. And when you have reached that place of self-love, that's when the right ones will come in, because like you said earlier, you're going to repel the wrong ones because they're not going to be able to match you. You're going to overwhelm them in the best way. Because if they're not ready to meet you there, don't waste my time. Go do your own healing. Come find me when you're healed. And like, even if you are in a long-term relationship, that person needs to decide, am I able to level up with her, or am I going to be stuck here and stay stagnant? And that's how you'll, when you relinquish control, you just let the universe take over, and you're going to lose a lot of people. You're going to lose a lot of friends. The healing journey, you lose a lot of people, or you push people away, or you realize, like you said, how toxic certain people have been in your life, and you realize that you don't want that energy around you. And healing is a very lonely journey, and the best breakthroughs I've had have been in solitude, when I was just completely on my own and learning to reconnect with myself. And you get real lonely before you get real comfortable with people, because now my circle is filling up with amazing people that are spiritually aligned. Even connecting with you today, I'm like, I feel like we're soul connected, even though you're all the way in Germany. I feel like you're in my brain, and you understand it. And it's bringing me all these amazing people and connections in my world. And if I didn't meet myself at that level, I wouldn't be able to meet other people at that level either. So yeah, that's a beautiful, beautiful takeaway. It's been a beautiful conversation. I could talk to you all day long, and we'll have to do a part 2 on this somewhere, somehow, because I feel like we could go on forever about this. I'm so passionate about it. I feel like you are as well. I love that you're, showing women this side and how to tap into that, and really using your experience as a way to empower other people, and taking the journey that you've been on and turning it into something beautiful. So with that being said, I like to end all of my episodes with one final piece of advice, something short and sweet and tangible, or just a little bite-sized thing that somebody can take from this episode. And it could be anything at all. So if you had to tell whoever is listening to this right now one message, what would that message be?
The message will be that you are an alchemist. You are your inner alchemist. Everything you need, your soul has within. You came to this earth fully equipped. There's everything. You don't need to worry. You don't need to be scared, because you are divinely protected. You have everything. You came to this earth abundant, and right now you just remember to be abundant again. You just find your way back. And as soon as you remembered who you really are, and as soon as you step into your destiny, your inner empress, life becomes the way you dreamed of. So never worry, never feel devastated or feel like you're lost, because you're not lost. You just found yourself. You're just on the way. You're reawakening.
I love that. If anybody wants to find you and see more of your work and, plug in your podcast, you have a beautiful podcast yourself as well. So tell the people listening where they can find out more information about you and how they can get connected with you.
You can find me on Instagram at Rebecca Pilger. I'm sure you put everything in the show notes. And I have my podcast, Soul Desire, where I speak a lot about survival mode, divine feminine energy, and I'm sure you're going to be there too. Keep an eye out. I want to definitely have you there. And I do have a free newsletter, which is the Soul Message. You can find it on my website, and I share whatever goes on in my mind or the little revelations I had throughout the day. So
I love that. Thank you so much. I will gladly be on your podcast. Like I said, we could talk forever about this. So sign me up. I'll be there. And thank you so much for carving out time to do this today, all the way from Germany. That's so cool. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for being here. Truly, that was a beautiful conversation. Oh my goodness, that pulled up my heartstrings. I have tangible things that I can even take away from this. I learned a lot today, which is exciting. And I hope that everybody listening was able to take away some beautiful moments as well. So thank you so much for joining. And I guess we'll be talking soon, part 2 on your podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for holding this beautiful space and being such a great host.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to another episode. I hope you were able to take something away from it on your own journey and apply it to your own life in some way or some form. And if you are new here and you're only discovering me now, welcome. My name is Katie, and I help women tap back into their confidence, heal from within, and step back into their power. In many ways, I am a professional boudoir photographer. I'm now a podcast host, and I also host women's retreats and healing circles in the area locally. And we're kind of branching out into a bigger audience now, and that's what this podcast is. So if I found you, welcome, welcome home. It really is just a safe space to feel seen, heard, and inspired on your own healing journey as well. So feel free to subscribe so you don't miss any other future episodes. And if this resonated or hit home, please share with a friend, and leave us a little review. As a new podcast, it really does help, and it pushes us up in the algorithm so we can keep making beautiful episodes and having these wonderful discussions and reaching even more people, because the mission here is to just help as many women out there as we can. And I'm doing that one beautiful conversation at a time. So thank you for being here, and I'm offering the invitation for you to stick around for a while and hang out here, because we have some pretty cool discussions on the show. Otherwise, that's a wrap for today, and I will be seeing you guys in the next episode.